So conflict resolution for leaders. Not all leaders have the abilities to resolve conflict. I have experienced many organizations, many leaders who absolutely do not have the emotional intelligence to diffuse a situation. Bullying, sexual harassment, sexual assault, all of these things that happen in workplaces daily that people they don't feel safe to speak up about. They end up just quitting their job and leaving because they can't deal with the trauma and the overwhelm, and the cycle repeats. By the way, if you're someone who has experienced any of these things, I fully empathize with you. I have experienced these things myself. Try to have the courage to speak up about these situations. Get the compensation that you deserve from whatever country you're living in. There's always work cover legislations around these policies and procedures if the leadership team does not follow these policies and procedures and is essentially negligent. So speak up when these things happen, because if you don't speak up, it will happen to the next person, it will happen to the next employee, and it will just keep happening, and the cycle repeats and continues, and we don't break it. My suggestion to you as well is lead yourself, be your own leader. If you've been let down by leaders, become your own leader, and you'll start to realize that, okay, there's a lot of these leaders that have led me in the past. I've learned what not to do. There's been amazing, competent leaders that I've also had where I've learned amazing things, and how to actually, take bits and pieces of what they have taught me and use that into my own leadership capabilities and leadership competencies. However, if you haven't had a lot of good leadership experiences and you've had a lot of leaders let you down, like I said before, they only get into these positions because of the duration of time that they've been in a company. Does not mean they have been trained, does not mean they're emotionally intelligent, does not mean they're smarter than you, they know more than you. It's really because of the duration. That's the only reason why, which is why there's a lot of messed up organizations, there's a lot of messed up companies. Bullying, sexual harassment, sexual assault, it's happening continuously, unfortunately, in 2023. Coming back to conflict resolution, having the actual emotional capabilities to actually speak to, whoever's in conflict, creating a team, speaking directly to those two people separately first, of course, and gaining an understanding and gaining more information from either party, either person, to actually figure out, okay, what's actually happened here? Where has this conflict come from? How can I empathize with both people? How can I support both people? If there has been a perpetrator, how can I offer more training for the perpetrator? If it's a really serious incident, how can I take action immediately against the perpetrator? Because especially as a leader, if you want to be a competent leader, you need to be taking action against perpetrators immediately, because if you do not, the other employees or I don't like to say the word victim, but the victims in this case, or victim, are going to look at you as a leader saying, well, what the hell are you doing? You need to take action, you need to do something. So leadership capabilities, that's one of the biggest things. So looking at how do they actually resolve conflict? Are they able to actually resolve conflict? How are they actually making this progress between showing their team that they actually care, that they actually are working to create a safer, supportive, and psychologically safe environment for their people? Please message me or please comment or let me know if you are actually not part of a psychologically safe environment, because I'd love to hear what you're currently going through and what your stories are, or what you're challenged by. If you're someone out there who is in a leadership position, you are a leader, you're a rising leader, you're a millennial leader like myself, Gen Z, you guys are amazing as well, growing up with so many amazing opportunities online. If you're one of these rising leaders, please reach out to me, please let me know, because it's you guys that are going to be changing the way of the workplace in the future, because we're all be coming in to actually change and break the outdated workplace norms. That way of the future, the way of, the future of communication is we're all going to be creating personal brands. That's what we're all doing. We're all creating personal brands. We're all learning how. I really hope people do more, of themselves, jump on live and actually communicate and talk to people and, create, learn how to communicate in front of strangers and, develop all of these other competencies, because you will become a leader, and we need you as we're changing this workplace and we come into and lead and change these workplaces. Because if it gets to a point where, for example, Gen Z, a couple of years ago, right? I'm a millennial. A couple of years ago, the duration that millennials would stay in a workplace would be around 2 years. For Gen Z at the moment, so staying in workplaces for only 10 months. So that blows my mind, because that just goes to show that people don't care anymore. Like if you're in a workplace and you're dealing with a leader, we're gonna just quit. See you later. Okay, there's too many other opportunities. I'll just create my business on TikTok or create my personal brand online, because that's what we all do now. So the workplaces obviously need to pick up their game. However, I still see an advantage in workplaces and different work experiences, adapting and assimilating with different personalities. This is one of the absolutely advantageous things of having a broad work experience and having broad work experience knowledge. It's amazing if you've built your own business online and you're earning money on TikTok or Instagram or Shopify or whatever, all these e-commerce things. That's amazing. But can you communicate with people? Are you actually humanly connected in person with groups and communities? And do you have really close, deep relationships and deep friendships? Because if not, that's the importance of leaders. Growing your emotional intelligence and emotional capabilities, which is a huge part of actually stepping into these positions of influence. And in turn, by influencing other people, you're going to start this domino effect and start influencing more and more people the more that you work on your emotional capabilities. Interpersonal skill that I wanted to mention here for leadership competence and a skill that impacts our leadership capability is resilience. So if you think about it, when you look at a really amazing leader, a really effective leader, who do you think of, and what are their characteristics? What have you actually thought about their characteristics? How do they make you feel when they're speaking? What do you like about them? What makes you watch them? What makes you listen to them? And a lot of the qualities that you'll probably notice and recognize is that, okay, like they look confident about themselves and how they're speaking. Like they can present themselves and speak effectively in front of groups of people. They're able to create relationships with different people, and they don't have this fear or have this. They're not worried about the fear of judgment or the fear of people speaking badly about them, and so they go for it. It's like they have no fear, and that characteristic that we see in competent leaders comes from resilience. So having resilience as an interpersonal skill, which I fully believe it is a skill. Resilience is a skill. You have to keep learning how to be resilient. If you're not learning the lessons and the blessings from your challenges, from your traumas, if you can't go back in life and look at everything that you've experienced up until this point today without being super grateful and super thankful and being this essentially fly on the wall, so to speak, and looking back to say, yeah, wow, okay, cool, that's awesome, I'm grateful for that. If you can't go back your whole life up until this point now and be grateful for every little thing that's happened, including the trauma, including the challenges, that will be impacting your life today. And that's why you need to go back and clear all of that crap, because otherwise your string of life is going to have all of these small knots along your string of life, and you need to go back and essentially untie those knots from your string. The deeper the trauma or the deeper the challenge is going to come up in your conversation. It's going to come up in how you communicate with people. It's going to come up as passive aggressiveness. It will come up in aggression. It will come up in sadness. It will come up in triggers. It will come up in someone giving you very polite and constructive feedback, and you take that as you get defensive. Oh my gosh, how could you say that to me? I'm not like that at all. Which really, that's pushing you in a point where on a certain belief or a certain level you actually agree with them, which is why you're getting defensive.